It's crowded.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Ferndale City Council meeting for Tuesday, November the 13th, 2012. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, and thank you for remembering that we moved the meeting from yesterday to tonight. You kept up with our schedule very well. Thanks. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Council members Galloway, Martin.
Here.
Piana. Here. Lennon. Mayor Coulter.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum. Councilman Lennon is under the weather this evening, and Councilman Galloway has a work commitment, and so I'd like to ask for the record that their absences be excused. Do we need a motion to do that?
We typically do.
Typically do.
I move to excuse Galloway.
Second?
Unanimous consent? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I move to excuse Mike Lennon.
Oh, yes.
Did we not do? Oh.
We only did Scott.
Oh. Yep.
And I move to excuse Scott Lennon. Mike Lennon.
All in favor say
I haven't
aye.
Scott C.
Aye.
I'm all messed up.
Thank you very much. Yes, we've decided to crowd in and be a little closer knit here without the two council people here, but we haven't removed them from council, fear not. Next order of business would be the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
I would move that we accept the agenda.
Support.
Any comments or discussions? Otherwise, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Council members Martin.
Yes.
Piana.
Yes.
Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you very much. Next item of business would be presentations, and we have a couple of presentations that I'm really excited to be able to do this evening. We are very fortunate in our community, in our city, to have some outstanding employees here, some folks that work very hard and also go above and beyond in getting training that they bring back that benefits the entire community, and we're going to honor 3 such employees today. And so the first person that I would like to ask to come up is Lieutenant O'Loughlin, and I think the Chief of Police, Chief Collins, is going to come up here as well. How are you? Good to see you. Let me read this resolution. We're very proud of the lieutenant, and I want to tell you all just exactly what he accomplished. This is a resolution in honoring Lieutenant Casey O'Loughlin on the occasion of graduation from the FBI Academy. I, Mayor David Coulter, on behalf of the City Council of Ferndale, extends the city's congratulations to Lieutenant Casey O'Loughlin on the occasion of graduation from the FBI National Academy on September 21st, 2012. Lieutenant O'Loughlin spent 10 weeks in Quantico, Virginia, leaving his family behind to attend this prestigious training academy. This academy serves to improve the administration of justice in police departments and agencies at home and abroad, and to raise law enforcement standards, knowledge, and cooperation worldwide. The FBI National Academy's mission is to support, promote, and enhance the personal and professional development of law enforcement leaders by preparing them for the complex, dynamic, and contemporary challenges through innovative techniques, facilitating excellence in the education and research, and forging partnerships throughout the world. Lieutenant O'Loughlin's time and energy will be a direct asset to the Ferndale Police Department and bringing forward a new generation of leadership. He is a credit to this community and this organization, and it is with heartfelt appreciation that we celebrate his achievement. Lieutenant,
on behalf of the Police Department, this is from our perspective, this is one of the most prestigious schools that we can send command officers to. We have, over the years, got all of our leaders, as many as we can. It is a 2-year process just to make application, and then there is a considerable waiting period. And Lieutenant O'Loughlin's achievement here is really quite outstanding. It was well-deserved, and once he got there, he had, never looked back and got it all done for us, and we're very appreciative to him and to his family that had to be without him for 10 whole straight weeks. So we really appreciate it, and we are very happy to have him back, too. He was gone the whole summer.
I'd just like to say thank you. It's an honor to receive this from the mayor and the council, and of course from the city manager, who helped this to happen, and of course above all to the chief of police. So thank you very much.
And now if the fire chief would come up with a couple of folks that are also receiving awards. The fire chief and Lieutenant Casey and Fire Marshal Batten. Similar to our Lieutenant O'Loughlin, two of our outstanding members of our fire department have also completed some very rigorous and difficult training, and we want to acknowledge their efforts tonight as well. You both completed the same training, I understand, and so the resolutions are identical, so if you don't mind, I'll read it once and I'll put both your names in it. But we're very proud as well of both of you, and I want to read to the public just exactly what these gentlemen accomplished. So this is a proclamation honoring Lieutenant Michael Casey and Fire Marshal Brian Batten on the occasion of graduation from Eastern Michigan University's Fire Staff and Command Program. Again, I, Dave Kulcher, on behalf of the Ferndale City Council, extend our congratulations to both of you on the occasion of the graduation from Eastern Michigan University's Fire Staff and Command Program on Friday, October 19th, 2012. Both these gentlemen dedicated their time and energy to the School of Fire Staff and Command Program, which is a comprehensive 350-hour program. I figured out that's like 43 full-time days, gentlemen. That is an extensive program. 350 hours that targets senior leadership within their departments. With technology advancing at a rapid rate, senior fire officers must be prepared with the knowledge, skills, and abilities afforded private industry. The program takes the fire officers beyond the traditional operational methods and exposes them to conceptual thinking and problem solving. The program addresses key issues in the fire service with a focus on leadership, planning, and decision-making, human resource management, administering the fire agency, and critical situations in homeland security. Their time and energy will be a direct asset to the Ferndale Fire Department and bringing forward a new generation of leadership. They are a credit to this community and this organization, and it is with heartfelt appreciation that we celebrate their achievements. Would you like to add anything?
I'd just like to say this is the beginning of a new era for the fire department. We've started sending our officers of the police department, has done for years, to staff and command, and these are the first two gentlemen that have bound forward and took on the challenge. And it is a challenge because they still had their work here to do, so many times they had to prep things before they went away for a week, and then were gone for a 40-hour week, and sometimes they had to stop by the station and take care of things on their way home for the night. So my hat's off to them because they put a lot of effort beyond what we asked them to do. So it's quite an accomplishment, and I'm glad that we got through this, and we're going to be sending more.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you, Mayor, Council, and City Manager Lynch for all the support that they give the fire department throughout the training and education that we do get that is vital for our success. Thank you.
I concur. Thank you very much for the support. This is wonderful. I'm glad we got to go.
All right. Our next item of business would be, well, it's listed as public hearing in your agenda. It's technically not a public hearing because the formal public hearing took place at a Planning Commission meeting in September, but it is an opportunity for public comment because both of these requests happen to be Taco Bell. For both of these requests are asking for a special land use variance, and so I would like to hold a public hearing. I don't know, maybe Dan Martin, would you like to introduce this item?
I'll defer to
I think he's most sad by 2 Taco Bells being closed down at the same time.
It's making me a little nervous, I'm not going to lie.
All right, we'll allow Derek Delico to introduce this item. How about that?
I'd be glad to. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Maybe I can start by assuring Councilman Martin that based on the staging, they will not be closed at the same time. So we will still have a Taco Bell option in the city. As council is aware, both Taco Bells, the one located at Woodward and the one located on West 9 Mile, have approached the city regarding a complete scrape and rebuild on both sites. As part of that process, the applicants came before the Planning Commission with both site plans for both locations on the same evening, and met with the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing and discussed the site plan issues related to the site. As part of that process, any facility with a drive-through in the city is required to have a special land use approval by City Council, which does require an additional public hearing from the Planning Commission, a recommendation from the Planning Commission to City Council regarding the special land use requirements identified in the ordinance. The Planning Commission did review both site plans, did unanimously approve both site plans, and as part of that process, made 2 unanimous recommendations to City Council to approve the special land use requests. Some of the issues that came up the night of the site plan review at the Planning Commission had to do with dumpster locations, lighting poles, parking. The applicant did receive a waiver from the Planning Commission at both sites to reduce the parking by a few stalls to allow for some stormwater improvements to be made on both sites. Both sites are proposing the installation of a bioswale to help treat some of the stormwater runoff from each parking lot, which is a significant improvement over both locations as they stand today. I think it does bear mentioning both locations do currently have a Taco Bell, 3,000 square foot plus at each location. Both locations are proposing to rebuild similar to existing but with significant site improvements, the inclusion of a drive-through, and the reduction in square footage of both buildings from 3,000 square foot plus to just over 1,900 each. A couple of the other issues that came up from the residents were dumpster locations. As part of that review and approval, the Planning Commission recommended both dumpster locations be moved. The applicant agreed, has submitted site plans to the city since then showing the revised locations, both of those consistent with the recommendations of the Planning Commission. One of the locations is located within the city's Downtown Development Authority. That does require a review and approval by the city's Appearance Review Committee. One of the conditions of the Planning Commission was any changes made to the 9 Mile location similarly be made to the Woodward location. The applicant agreed. That meeting did take place and both sites were approved by the Appearance Review Committee as well.
With changes or as
very minor.
Yeah.
Very minor changes. Most of the applicant did submit, I would call it modified standard designs for both locations, meeting the material requirements of the city zoning ordinance. Both sites will be built with brick and stone facades, very little, if any, EIFS, glass windows, clear glass windows, all of which met the material requirements of the city zoning ordinance. The 9 Mile site, and I should mention, I'm going to kind of review the highlights of both sites at the same time here, but obviously we're able to answer questions on either one of them individually. The 9 Mile site, we are going through the streetscape and roadway improvements to West 9 Mile. Taco Bell did agree to provide us an easement on the corner of 9 Mile and Pinecrest to assist in improving the roadway and the intersection conditions at that location. That has been shown on the site plans and reflected in the approved set from the Planning Commission. Again, the applicant is here for the special land use approvals for the drive-through only. Both site plans have been approved, but council is able to, as part of that review, make comment or add conditions to the special land use if it so seems fit related to just about anything on the site. So I think at this point, I will stop. We are here to answer any questions. Jim Barnwell from Design Inc. is here to answer any questions related to the site. And as always, we're here to answer any questions.
So I guess before I ask council if they have questions, I will, even though this is not technically a public hearing, we'll treat it as such. And if there's anyone from the public that would like to comment on either of these, we'll take them as one. So if you'd like to comment on either the 9 Mile or the Woodward site plans, this would be an appropriate time to do so. All right, seeing none, does council have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
I was unable to be at the planning commission meeting. I had a work obligation that night, so this is my first time to ask questions. So I'm going to start first with the Woodward Taco Bell. And I had some questions about the site plan itself. It is in black and white, and so somewhat hard to tell, but is there going to be outdoor seating?
They are proposing a few outdoor tables.
Okay.
There will be no sale and service of food outdoors, but yes, they are proposing at both locations a small outdoor area designed into the site.
Okay. And then the information referred to the sign ordinance, and I was wondering if the tall Taco Bell sign on the sidewalk, not the building sign.
Yeah, the pole sign.
The pole sign, is that going to remain? Are they going to replace that?
No, that'll be coming down
That will be
and
coming down.
replaced with a conforming monument sign.
Okay, great.
That's actually in the easement they've agreed to provide the city for the intersection improvements.
And then I just wanted to, for both of the Taco Bells, sort of praise the green sustainability measures that you guys have put into the site plan, particularly the rain gardens, pervious parking, bicycle spots, new trees, really beautifying the area on both of them. So I really appreciate that. And then my 9 Mile Taco Bell question is that the PC minutes indicate that the speaker from the residence window is 5 feet, and it's said to be pushed as far west as possible, and I wonder how many feet that actually equals.
And truthfully, I don't think we have a dimension significantly on how far it's moved yet.
Okay.
We haven't required the applicant to meet all of the conditions yet until we went through this process. But I believe, just based on even the first submittal, it was a good 10 or 12 feet farther
Okay.
than the existing.
This speaker and then the back of this location. This is a garage. If you look at it, this is 9 Mile.
If you could, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
just
once-
for the
once-
folks at
once-
home,
Oh, okay.
we can hear you, but the folks at home can't.
Yeah, what we've done is if you'll look, is basically the speaker and the menu board are halfway between the two residences. So it's about as equal distance far. This is a garage here that enters off of the Taco Bell property.
Could you show them
So
where the existing is right now?
it's pretty much, it's closer to this area here. I think you can-
Conservatively, it's 10 or 12 feet farther, and
Okay.
actually get farther.
Yeah, right now, it's up in this area, almost directly be north of the existing house on the easterly side, so it's moving back from this location, probably about 30 feet to the west.
And then my final question for the 9 Mile Taco Bell, there was supposed to be a pedestrian area? It said there in the notes, and I didn't know what that translated to visually. I didn't know that
Jim,
was
if you can
on-
hold up the site plan again.
Was that on 9 Mile or Pinecrest? Oh, okay.
Right here on 9 Mile, they have a significant area of landscaping. I'll lose my microphone here. A significant area of landscaping, and the Planning Commission discussed the possibility of including maybe even a bench in there as
Okay.
far as transit locations. The applicant in concept has agreed to do so. They are in conversations with us potentially about that area being an easement
Is there a
for the
bus stop
city.
there?
Yeah, there's currently a bus stop directly in front of the Taco Bell location, which translates on this site plan to significant or relatively close to that landscaped area. So,
Are you putting in a covered transit thing?
No.
It would be great maybe if Taco Bell would sponsor it and Own it.
Well, I think Taco Bell's interested in partnering with the city on that. They have talked to us, and we will be discussing whether that will be owned by Taco Bell or whether it'll be an easement to the city. They've agreed to it in principle, and that's one of the details we'll work out as part of the final site plan approval.
And we do have a couple of seating areas, outside on both sites and bike racks.
Yep.
I think it's safe to point out too, at both locations, on the Woodward site, you have curb cuts to Woodward currently there's 3 curb cuts to Woodward, which will be reduced to 2, which will significantly improve access management issues related to Woodward. On the 9 Mile site, they've made adjustments to have curb cuts on 9 Mile be enter and exit only, improving traffic conditions. We're completely closing the curb cut to Kenton, which was of great news to the residents, and hopefully will reduce some of the cut-through traffic the wrong direction down Kenton, which is a one-way street. And the only first full-serve drive on the 9 Mile location will be to Pinecrest, which everybody agreed was the safest location.
And then my final question is, does any of your remodeling impact or is going to be have to be redone again with the West 9 Mile project, streetscaping project?
No, we've shared all of the roadway designs with them. They're coordinating their construction. Actually, it works out very well, timing-wise. There may be minor changes.
What is the timing?
Right now, they're looking at doing Woodward starting in March, so it's done by June. And then after Woodward's completed and up and operational again, then they'll start on 9 Mile.
Gotcha.
And typically, their construction, they've gotten it down pretty rapidly, anywhere from 60 to 90 days. So they get in and get out pretty quick.
Yeah, it works out very fortuitously with the 9 Mile construction. And in fact, we're showing some landscaping along here in 9 Mile. Taco Bell's agreed. They've accepted the landscape plans from our streetscape design. And the intention is to mirror the landscaping on the south side of 9 with what we're doing on the north. They've agreed to incorporate that in their site plan. This is the intersection where they've agreed to provide us an easement to make significant intersection improvements without having to collect right away on any of the 4 corners. It should have an overall, both sites, seeing as they have existing drive-through locations on them, as it relates to special land use, should be significantly improved from both a traffic safety, pedestrian safety, and a design standpoint. They are still
an improvement in the landscaping and a large reduction in the pervious area. Lawn areas, landscape areas, and the bioswale on both sides.
That's all the questions I have.
Yeah.
I just had a couple. One, I'd like to echo Melanie's comments that I was really pleased to see some of the environmental considerations on the site plan. Secondly, I want to clarify that the drive-through speaker, you said you're moving 10 or 12 feet west, right? So it won't be directly in front of any of the garage doors or anything that's there today.
It should not be.
Between the two?
Yeah, it should, like I said, we haven't seen the final design, but it should land relatively close to in between them, and probably as far from both houses as we can make it dimensionally.
Yeah, I think basically if you've been back along the 9 Mile, there's a power pole here that's basically at the property line between the 2 homes. This is, as I said, was a garage. This is the house here and house here. Currently, the speaker is right about here, close to the house, and this is the person that was at the meeting, the gentleman to the, or the people to the east. And now we've got the menu board, the speakers basically at the lot line, close to equidistance from both.
That was my next question, if we'd heard from any of the neighbors, but you said one of them came to the Planning Commission.
There were several that came, and at the end of the day, I think the Planning Commission, and truthfully, we'd like to thank Taco Bell as well and their representatives, made changes to address all of their concerns. I'm sure they didn't walk away feeling like, I'm sure they would rather have it be a park, but based on, all of the residents at the end of the day felt that this was a significant improvement over what they had, and that the Planning Commission and Taco Bell were able to work out conditions and improvements to address their concerns. So it actually went very well.
My last question, and I wasn't able to confidently discern this from the site plan, is there any more space in that roundabout there where speaker go through today and you place, your order in the drive-through, that's pretty tight to the retaining wall if two cars go side by side for flow. Is there any more space there than it is today, or is it still the same?
With the maneuvering lane?
Behind the actual restaurant?
Not
It's pretty,
really, it's still tight.
It's very similar.
Yeah, it's real similar.
right.
And
It's
just
not any
as a
worse.
sideline, they did request a higher wall through there, the residents, we've added,
Oh,
like 2.5 feet basically through most of the wall section.
Yeah, both locations, they agreed to raise the screening wall.
Yeah.
Especially at this location, it's raised almost 2.5 feet in some instances. So from the residence side, the wall will be almost 8 feet tall. It's a little shorter on the Taco Bell side because of changing grade, but again, a significant improvement over what's there right now.
Great. Well, I appreciate Taco Bell being so flexible with us in this process.
We just hope you come off and purchase many times.
You could have brought samples.
I'm probably paying for a fair amount of this reading.
You both have asked all my questions, except, again, in terms of the speaker, are there things that can be done with the sound levels of the speakers that can also help minimize the disruption to the residents? Do you feel like you're at the levels that?
They keep it, it's set low, the newer.
No, I'm talking about the decibel levels as opposed to the height.
But I mean, the speaker,
Yeah.
and so you got the car blocking it, now you've got a wall that's 8 feet, so you have to have at least a certain amount of decibels up there to be able to communicate.
I don't know if the decibel level has changed. I think the clarity of the technology, certainly this is an upgrade in technology, the size of it, paired with the direction of it. Microphones do a much better job now picking up from the side. Taco Bell was able to turn it instead of having to point it straight at the houses. And then certainly with the increase in wall, it's going to make a huge difference as far as it'll bounce the sound back. So decibel level, I'm not sure of, but they should see a reduction at least in sound from the speaker.
Good. Well, that's all I have. So any further comments or questions?
Nope. I would move that in the matter of 29100 Woodward, the Taco Bell reconstruction, the council approve the special land use request based on plans dated received by the Planning Department on July 23, 2012, with the indicated findings from that committee, or department.
I support.
Moved by Martin, supported by Piana. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Council members Piana,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. And now on the second special land use.
I move in the matter of 1045 West 9 Mile Road, Taco Bell reconstruction, and City Council approves the special land use request based on plans dated received by the Planning Department on July 23, 2012, with the findings listed below.
Second.
So that's moved by Piana and seconded by Martin. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk.
Council members Martin,
Yes.
Piana.
Yes.
Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That item is also adopted. Thank you very much. Thanks for the presentation. Next item of business would be call to audience. As you know, that's 30 minutes now, more time at the end of the meeting if needed. 3 minutes to speak on any subject that you like that's not on the agenda, because you'll get an opportunity to speak on that item when it comes up on the agenda. Dennis Hopner. Good evening, sir.
My name is Dennis Hopner. I live at 7 Sisters, Florida. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council.
Good evening.
I was not outside my usual post at TAF on election night with my campaign signs because a medical emergency put me in the hospital, so I had to watch the election from the hospital bed. I understand that 64% of registered voters in Ferndale voted. That sure beats the 14% from the last election. First, I would like to thank our Councilman Dan Martin for reaching the polls. It had been a long day and night for you. Because I noticed on TV that the last voter at Taft didn't get the vote till 10:15.
That's right.
That's a long day. Next, I would like to comment about the recall in Troy of Mayor Daniels. When you're elected mayor of a city, no matter how big the city is or how small, you are elected mayor of a city to represent all of the people, not just certain segments. Prejudice has no place in government or any place in our society. The people of Troy did the right thing. Next, this is a good one. There's an old saying that money can't buy everything. And that held true for a certain bridge owner who spent $31 million to sway our votes to protect his monopoly. It didn't work. Finally, after months and months of TV ads and tons of literature in our mailboxes, the only thing I didn't get in my mailbox was a pair of flip-flops. I guess the governor needed those for his campaigning. The American people went to the polls, sorted out the half-truths, and the unouted lies. Cast their ballots, and once again did the right thing. They re-elected Barack Obama President of the United States. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis, and great to see you up and healthy again. I know you're recovering, but good to see that you're better. Thanks, Dennis. Good evening.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Coulter. Thank you for this opportunity to address yourselves and the citizens of the city. My name is Todd Blankenship. I'm here representing the Ferndale Environmental Sustainability Commission this evening, here to present a green tip. November 15th is America Recycles Day. During the month of November, the citizens and residents of the Sacra area recycling communities can pick up a recycling bin at half price, $6, either from the Sacra location or the Ferndale Department of Public Works, DPW. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
I appreciate you reminding us, and it was the idea of the Ferndale Environmental Sustainability Commission to do that, so I appreciate that as well. Good evening, Sherry.
Yes, Sherry Wells. I worked at the Harding during the election. Thought of you a few times, Melanie, especially the day or two it took to recover this time. And I knew that you were, we had a full complement. We had people waiting 45 to 90 minutes. I don't remember any complaints. I remember people commenting on how smooth it was. And I was telling them it's because we are well-trained and well-supported. That we had one glitch, we were able to call the City Hall and have someone come out. I don't think our line got held up for more than 5 minutes. And some people said it would be nice if there were more people or more voting stands or whatever. So those of you out there watching this on cable, and tell your neighbors that if you can do another 64%, I'm sure we can get some extra computers and people there.
Thank you. Oh, good evening, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
That's Augustin, 1550 Spencer. A couple things I got. Whatever happened to our lawn and leaf signs that were put out here a year or two ago that, you know, when our city would come and clean our streets up to let everybody know that our leaves were going to be picked up? Surely that had to cost a couple of dollars in there to get them printed up and that. And because it took a phone call to City Hall to wake up the people, make them realize that there's still a southeast corner of Ferndale there. I called over to my aunt's house over on this other side of town here. The leaf pickup had been there 3 times already, and we were lucky to get ours once. And there was signs that were printed up, that were made up to let everybody know that leaf pickup was going to be in this area on these days. You know, and they moved them all around town. They did that. And I was just wondering whatever happened to those signs, you know, and I mean, whatever happened to something that worked so well. Maybe it worked too good. Maybe that's why it screwed everybody up.
Well, personally, I don't remember the signs, but Lloyd, I know, and you weren't around maybe when that either. Do you guys remember signs? I don't recall that, Dennis, to be honest.
What I've been told is
come on up just to the mic so folks can hear you. Lloyd is our DPW interim director.
As I checked into that, what I was told is that it really proved to be ineffective. That what happens is that, you know, we try to adjust according to where the leaves are out at the curb, and, you know, so with the parking situation and everything else, what they found was that it wasn't as productive. I can tell you, though, that we have been through the city in all locations more than once, and in fact, at least 3 or 4 times. What we do, when we started doing this year, was actually routing and mapping where they've been. And so what motivates us to go to a certain area, though, is the amount of leaves that are there. And if they are posing problems, a fire hazards, or they're posing parking problems, or if just that neighborhood has gotten the leaves out early, you know, we tend to hit that more often. But we certainly want to get everywhere in the city, and you know, if you have any direct concerns, please call Public Works.
Yeah, well, that's what I did, and we did finally get we got another street cleaning out here last week.
Which street do you live on?
Spencer. Southeast corner has been a problem for years. I've been over there for 25 years now, and it's been a problem for a lot of years. And it's taken phone calls to get city services over there. Now, I supported him, and I tell you what, I have supported him, and because I don't want to do without my services. We went 1 year over there where that black, slimy mess ended up in our front yard, along with the snow and everything else in the spring of the year, and we had nothing but problems cleaning up the mess.
I don't think you'll find that to be the case this year. The tonnage that we've reported that has been picked up already is in excess of 65%. So, you know, we should be able to get all the leaves removed prior to snowfall, which will prevent that problem. But again, I encourage you, please contact me, DPW. I'd be more than happy to check into any concerns and be responsive.
Well, we did get a leaf pickup without a phone call last week. And that's our second one over on our side of town there. And at least it came down Spencer between Wanda and West End. So I mean, that was pretty decent.
Yeah, you know, again, anytime you have any concerns or questions, I'd be more than happy to answer your concerns. Just give us a call at DPW and I'll look into it.
Okay.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate it.
Second thing I got, okay, I was glad to see a nice turnout for voting. But if you want that base, that many people there, got to do something about the hour and a half to 2 hours at lunchtime. Okay, I went in at 10:30. I got out of there after 12 o'clock. Now, it's great to see the turnout. It really is. Don't get me wrong. But anybody who went in there at Precinct 7 over at the curling club suddenly realized that they were probably either going to be one of two things: late going back to work, explaining it to their boss, or two, they just weren't going to vote. And my wife went up there at 6 o'clock and was standing way out in the parking lot, and it took her 2 hours to get all the way through to the table, just to the table, and then pick up her ballot. She was telling me about it. And that was 2 hours in the evening. And I can bet you, I'd be willing to bet that if it had been raining or snowing, you wouldn't have had those voters standing in line for 2 hours there. But the curling club, that needs to be looked at now. It's great to see the turnout, but maybe shrinking that district down and dividing it up amongst other polling areas. And to what I understand from what I saw on the news, Wilson wasn't much different. And that they had big long lines there too. So I mean, that needs to be looked at. You know, I mean, it really does. If you want to keep those voters coming to vote for you and you and you and you and you, you know, all you people and the two that are missing, okay, going to have to do something about that lunchtime line too. Hour and a half I spent there, but I didn't have to work, you know. My work has been erratic this year, so an hour and a half I stood in line and shot the breeze with all these people that I didn't even know who they were, you know. But 2 hours in the evening and an hour and a half at lunchtime, and that's what the curling club was looking at. And I thought it was something going on when I pulled in the parking lot and found a full parking lot at 10:30 in the morning. I thought maybe the curling club had a big tournament going on there. It was just people waiting in line to vote in that. And so, I mean, it needs to be addressed and looked at for the next time, you know.
Thank you, Dennis. And we did hear that, and I think, you know, our clerk put out a statement after the election, but I'll let her just address that, if you don't mind.
Mr. Guston, I thank you for taking the time to come out and share your comments with us. We've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of voters, a lot of our poll workers, a lot of our elected officials, and just general observers, and I thank you for taking the time for that feedback. We are very committed to providing a better experience next time around.
That
And we've
lady
already
said-
started working
The whole
on
staff
ways
said
to
that they
improve.
had a big, huge line at 6 o'clock in the morning when they showed up, and it never slowed down. That's what they were saying.
Our workers hustled all day long, and we are going to be meeting in the next several weeks to talk about what can be done better, what can be done differently, and I promise you, we will be making changes to improve the process.
It's great to see the people turn out and vote. It really
Oh, I
is,
agree.
but, you know,
I agree.
but, you know, sooner or later, somebody's going to say, hey, heck with it, I'm going back to work, you know, rather than, you know, do a quick vote. at
We
one
don't
time.
want that to happen.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it. Chris Hughes, you didn't have a presentation tonight, but you got some news?
I do.
DDA news? All right.
I'm out here as a reminder, Chris Hughes, Ferndale DDA Communications and Marketing Manager. I hate to bring this up because they're talking about picking up leaves, but the holidays are coming, and we have November 15th, this third Thursday, is Light the Town. We want to invite everybody to come on out and see their downtown. The merchants have been busy decorating their windows, and that will be going on for a bit, but we've got a lot of lights up there. I want to thank the DPW for helping us accomplish that, working together with us on that. That's been very awesome. So come on down. We'll have glow sticks for the kids. There'll be a band playing and hot chocolate all around, and just a nice time to see your hometown downtown and visit the stores and see all that you want to buy that night and every day going forward. I also want to remind people we'll be celebrating Small Business Saturday on November 24th. Shop local. It keeps your economy going, and we have a whole bunch of great local retailers that you can get almost anything you need at. So we want to remind everybody to come on down for that. Then we get into December, and we have a whole rollout of things. December 1st is the end of Prohibition Party, and that's a cool pub crawl for the Ferndale Good Fellows. December 7th, 8th, and 9th, we're going to have Holiday Ice and Winterfest Market. Santa Claus will be in town. We have a special Metalla Claus who will help us with our tree lighting on December 7th, so that should be interesting and fun. And we've got ice carvings, live carvings, Ferris wheel, all kinds of good stuff. So check downtownferndale.com for all the details all the time. Check us on Facebook. And also I wanted to say that we also hosted the How the West Was Won open house last week, and the joint partnership between the city and the DDA, and it was a wonderful gathering. We had lots of great feedback. We're all very excited about it. The Taco Bell is going to make it really help us shine down on that end. And that's all I've got. And thank you very much, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Jim O'Donnell, good evening.
Hello, good evening. I'm Jim O'Donnell, live at 1326 West Hazelhurst Street, and I was on the ballot this past November, so I'm grateful for everybody turning out and voting all the way down the ballot. There were about 8,000 voters for the school board race across the whole school district. So I want to say on behalf of Amy Butters and Raylon Leaks May and Kevin D. Krause and myself, thank you to the voters who came out and voted, to all of our supporters. Also, thank you to our opponents. We want to honor their years of dedication and service to the students, and I think it's important to acknowledge the time and effort that they've put in, both on the school board and just in all of their volunteer opportunities. We want you to look forward to our strategic planning process that's going to start up in December. The current board voted to move forward on that last night. They will vote on a contract at their regular meeting next week for a facilitator, a firm that will facilitate that. So we'll start meeting with community members, including you, in December, and that will move forward through completion by May. So we encourage and look for your participation in all of that, as well as other community members, leaders of nonprofit organizations, anybody that we can get involved. The process that this firm sets up is really comprehensive, and community will involve the whole community. Finally, on the school front, the fall play at the high school is this weekend, starting Thursday, Friday, Saturday evenings, and Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The evening plays at 7 o'clock. So on a personal note, my son Kevin is the plays the bus driver in Bus Stop, which is the play that also is a film. I think Marilyn Monroe was in it, among other people. So she's not here, but you can see Bus Stop at the high school with the students. And the last item, wearing a different hat, is the library's bake sale. Annual bake sale is on Saturday afternoon, so stop by the library, buy some good stuff to eat, and help support our summer concert series.
Well, on the library front, I think that there's been news there since our last council meeting as well, a new hire, hasn't there?
Yes, but you'll have to wait till the November 26th meeting, and
That was premature.
Jessica will be here to be introduced.
Awesome.
All right.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Congratulations on your election.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else like to address council this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. The next order of business is the consent agenda. These are items that council considers routine, and we enact them in one motion unless something gets removed from the consent agenda for further discussion. So let me take a moment to read the consent agenda this evening. Item A is the approval of the minutes of the regular and special meetings held October 22nd, 2012. B is authorization for the mayor and city clerk to sign the resolution authorizing the issuance of refunding bonds, Series 2013, in order to lower the city's interest rate, with the funds being used to pay off the 2003 refunding bonds maturing between 2014 and 2016. That was submitted by our Assistant City Manager and Finance Director. C, approval to add the amounts noted on the listing of delinquent and outstanding accounts to the December 1st, 2012 tax bill as a lien against the respective properties. D, approval of the contract with First Data for credit card processing for the Luke 2 multi-space meters in the city of Ferndale, and authorization for the mayor and city clerk to sign said agreement to be charged to the auto parking fund. E, approval of the dues for the Woodward Avenue Action Association totaling $3,125 as submitted by the city manager. F, approval of the invoice for $4,312 for the emergency repair of fire headquarters HVAC roof unit by Siemens to be charged to the repair and maintenance account. G, approval of the invoice from J&J for ladder removal per the FEMA AFG agreement for the vehicle acquisition grant and pump repairs for $5,136.22. And finally, H, approval of the bills and payroll as submitted by the city manager's office, subject to the review of the council finance committee. What is the council's pleasure on the consent agenda this evening?
I would move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I support.
Moved by Martin, supported by Piana. Is there anyone from the public that would like to discuss the consent agenda? Any comments from council on the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Martin?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. The consent agenda is adopted. Moving on to the regular agenda, item A, consideration of a purchase agreement with Search Optics for the auto impound yard. And Derek Delacourt, I believe that brings you back to the microphone this evening.
Good evening again. One of the nicer parts of my job. I'd like to introduce, first of all, before we get started, this is Christian Fuller, who is the Executive Vice President of Search Optics, and David Pond, who is their CEO, who both agreed to be here tonight and answer any questions. I'll give a brief introduction, and then I'll let you guys ask any questions or let you guys direct it where you want it to go. Recently, we met with Search Optics, who are undergoing a rather significant expansion at their existing location in Ferndale on Burdett. One of the topics that came up was the need for parking. Coincidentally, at about the same time, council and the police department had agreed to move its impound facilities, for lack of a better term, to privatize them, and move them out of the existing impound facility, which just so happens to be directly north of Search Optics. So in discussions with them, we broached the possibility of that being a resolution to their expansion needs. They were very interested. With the city manager's permission and discussions with the city attorney, we moved forward with some preliminary discussions, including obtaining some broker valuations of the property, which are included in your packet. As part of that process, when Search Optics and then when we found out that the impound yard wasn't necessary to operations of either DPW or the police department, Search made an offer to purchase the property for $17,500. The property is approximately 0.4 acres in size. It's currently developed with basically asphalt, a concrete wall, and razor wire, and is horribly underutilized at this time.
Right.
The opportunity to combine it with Search's existing operations from a planning standpoint seem to be the highest and best use in relation to their ability to expand on an existing location and their existing partnership with the city. So as part of that process, Search did do their due diligence environmentally, has agreed to accept the property as is as a quick claim, which makes our process much easier. There is a purchase agreement in your packet, and we are recommending that council approve that purchase agreement and allow the mayor and clerk and the staff to execute that agreement with no significant conditions. And it has been reviewed and approved for form by the city attorney. So with that, I did ask these gentlemen here to give a brief explanation of their expansion and where they are right now with the city of Ferndale. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. And I'll be very brief, and certainly not as exciting as new Taco Bells, but definitely,
in its own way it is.
definitely very exciting to us, and certainly the Taco Bells are exciting for our employees too. But thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council and City Manager, for having us here. And I'm Christian Fuller. I'm the Executive Vice President of Search Optics, one of the partners with CEO David here. I'm here this evening to ask for your support in allowing our company to acquire land that we need to accommodate the tremendous growth that we've experienced since bringing our company here to Ferndale. A little bit of background, our company, Search Optics, is a digital marketing agency that was founded 14 years ago in San Diego. 2 years ago, we came to Michigan with just one employee. We selected Ferndale as our Midwest location because we wanted to establish an established community which we could establish roots and grow our business. Obviously, we're in the automotive sector, and it's just a very natural place for us. We also enjoy the atmosphere here in Ferndale, and the folks that work with us certainly enjoy going out for lunches and being part of the community as well, and also live here. Several of our folks actually ride bikes into work too, so we're very local. So we purchased a building on Burdett Street, and during our time here, we've seen many new and welcoming developments and diversity in the neighborhood, investments into downtown, new retailers, restaurants, and other businesses. There's truly a diverse mix of opportunity available to our team here, and we're excited about the ongoing success of the community as we continue to build our business. And we have indeed built our business. In just 2 short years, we've grown our office into a technology hub serving automotive dealers around the world. Today, our team in Ferndale is nearly 50 strong, and we're still growing. In fact, we have about 30 positions open company-wide, 20 of which are right here in Ferndale. As a result of our rapid growth, we embarked on and recently completed a successful remodel and expansion of our facility on the Burdett Street location that will allow us to accommodate upwards of 100 employees. Our growth has also prompted us to consider options for the future. With the addition of staff, plans for expansion, and the need to accommodate customers and other guests visiting our facility, we're looking to obviously increase our parking that's available. I really appreciate your consideration and welcome your support of this request to purchase the land adjacent to our current parking area. This land will provide us with additional parking that we need. While we recognize that some street parking is available, we are in close proximity to residential neighbors. We want to be considerate of them and not pack the streets. We'd like to be cognizant of their needs as we continue to add to our team and help alleviate unnecessary traffic through the neighborhoods. We view this opportunity as a win-win for Ferndale and for Search Optics, and based on our initial commitment to the business community, recent remodeling projects, and plans for growth here in town, we hope you guys will agree as well. So we established our business here in Michigan. We chose Ferndale based on its talented workforce, great location, and proximity to the auto industry, and a business community that would be welcoming. Ferndale has delivered on all these and then some. We're proud to be part of the community and look forward to continuing our growth and now and for many years to come. We appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Thanks very much. David, anything you want to add to that?
Actually, I've been coughing, so I didn't want to affect everybody. But no, we really can't say enough about what a great move this has been for us here. It was just a couple years ago we walked in and we were talking about moving here and looking for your support. And, you know, we have one employee working out of their home, and at 50 now, and we're going to be having a grand opening in the spring. But when you come down and see what we've been able to do, when you see the people coming in, we just had the the newspaper in to do a story on us this morning, and the photographer walked in and he said, wow, what energy, what a buzz, this must be a great place to work. And I think that that's just sort of reflective of the environment and the support that we've gotten, and we can't be more appreciative.
Appreciate that very much. Any questions of council?
Not questions, but a comment, and just a thank you for your investment in Ferndale, and it's an exciting business to see it continue to grow here, so we're really glad you're here, and thanks for continuing to invest here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's serendipitous that this property came available at the time that it did.
Right.
So I think it's great that you continue to expand, so.
Well, we are thrilled that you're here. You could have picked a lot of different places, and we are trying to be as friendly to businesses like yours as we can be, and it's a huge success story for our community. This is a small way that the city can assist in your growth, and I, for one, am happy to accommodate that, and I hope there's lots more growth for you in the future. Derek will be able to show you lots of other places to look, but and exciting business that you're in as well, too. You're not just creating jobs, but you're creating the kinds of jobs that are creating the kinds of people who like to come to Ferndale. So we really appreciate your presence here very much.
Thank you very much. It's a new economy.
Absolutely. So if there's no further questions, did we have a motion?
Not yet.
We haven't had a motion yet, so we would need one of those.
The motion in our packet is, cut and paste of Taco Bell's. So.
I have one, actually.
Oh, do you?
Yep.
Am I looking at the wrong one?
No, you're right.
Oh, did you?
I got one, Sid. I would move that we approve the sale and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the purchase agreement.
I support.
So moved by Martin and supported by Piana. Any further discussion in this love fest with search on this? All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Piana?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming tonight. Our next item of business would be item B, consideration to amend the meeting schedule for December. And City Manager, you want to just sort of briefly describe what we're proposing for December?
Sure. It's very legal ask, so I'm actually going to turn it over to Dan Chris.
Okay.
Formality.
Certainly, Your Honor. It's my understanding that in discussing the amount of city business looking forward to towards the end of the year, that the city administration believes that it would be most efficient for everybody involved to consolidate the charter requirement that 2 meetings be held every month to a single date of, I believe, December 17th, where there would be a 7 o'clock proposed meeting as well as followed by a 7:30 meeting. That is permissive under the city charter and would, the city staff believes, be the most efficient use of city's time and resources. So there is a proposed resolution which would provide for the consolidation of the 2 normally scheduled December meetings to be held back-to-back on December 17th.
And I would just add to that part of the issue with the second meeting was that it falls on Christmas Eve.
That's correct.
That's obviously problematic, so moving that one forward would avoid that issue. So any comments or questions about this item?
No. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Very straightforward. Just so the public knows, then we would be doing, we would be meeting on one evening, and that would be on Monday, December the 17th at 7 p.m., probably for an audit meeting, and then 7:30 for a regular council meeting. All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
We don't have to do it.
Oh, that's right, we sure don't. One of you two.
Am I on the right one? I move to approve the resolution of meeting once on having 2 meetings on December 17th.
Support.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Council members Piana?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That change is adopted. Our next item of business would be call to council. The police chief, anything further from the police department, sir?
Very quickly, Your Honor, we are starting the holiday season, and we want to remind residents and shoppers that to be careful and to put their packages in their trunks and not so they're seen by the public, and to be conscious of where they are in the neighborhood and in the shopping community. Further, we have been experiencing locally, not just in Ferndale, but throughout the Metro Detroit areas, the theft of cell phones. A lot of this has been occurring with people asking to borrow cell phones and asking for directions and things like that. And there are many things you can do to protect yourself in that area, and that is obviously not to lend your cell phone or to walk around with your cell phone in such a manner as that it can be stripped from you or taken from you. Also, be conscious if you've got your earphones in that a lot of times you're not aware of your surroundings, so should be careful with these. I realize that they're become part of our environment for everybody, but they are also a very expensive piece of equipment that people will try to steal. So we've had a couple of robberies of them in late. We've been lucky enough to catch them, but they're very random. They're a crime of opportunity, so there's not a lot we can do to prevent it if folks are not really conscious of that. And lastly, I didn't bring it with me because Kevin's my friend, but apparently the police department beat the fire department in dodgeball.
Well done. Chief Sullivan, do you want to respond to that? Not much you can say, really.
They carry guns. If we don't let them win, it's a dangerous proposition. With the holiday season coming up for us, too, I know money's tight and a lot of people are out there starting to decorate, but if you have old wire lights and they're not in great shape, get rid of them. LEDs are not that expensive now. They're very cool and they're very safe, and they're very green. They don't use much energy. So I would recommend people switching that. If you're going to get a live tree, make sure you put a fresh cut on it and water it almost daily. They consume a lot of water, and a dry tree and bad wiring makes for a big fire at the wrong time of the year. Fire's wrong to have it any time of the year, but Christmas fires are pretty devastating. So furnace time. We're in cold weather again, and furnaces are coming on. Make sure you get your furnace cleaned and checked, and make sure that a professional does it so that you know that everything's working properly, because we don't want any carbon monoxide, as well as we don't want any fires caused by stuffed up vents in the furnaces. That's it. Thank you.
Great reminders. Thanks, Chief. Derek, anything else from your neck of the woods? Nothing additional, Mayor. All right. Lloyd, anything from DPW this evening? No. All right. Clerk, Madam Clerk. Sherilyn, anything else from the clerk's office?
Just to reiterate to all of our residents that we really are listening to your comments about Election Day. We have formed a group of elected officials and community activists, those who work the polls, some employees who are on the front lines, and others will be meeting in the next few weeks to go over comments, suggestions, changes. I'll be talking to the state about some best practices and other things. We'll be working hard. We are committed to improving the wait times at our polling locations. Also, just to let council know, I will not be at the November 26th meeting. Our wonderful deputy clerk, with whom I could not do this job, Marnie McGrath, will be here in my stead. And it would take me all night to thank the 70-plus people who helped with this election. So just know that you are all very appreciated, and I thank you so much. I am going to take time, though, to shout out to Buffalo Wild Wings one more time. They came through again for about the, 10th election in a row and supplied dinner for all of our election workers and City Hall staff, and that is also very well appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager April Lynch.
Very brief, just a friendly reminder that we start looking at our website and pay attention to holiday hours. This next week, we will be closed Thursday and Friday in observance of Thanksgiving, but City Hall will be open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 8 to 5:30.
Thank you. Still City Attorney Dan Chris.
I have nothing tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Good to be here, though.
Good to have you here, sir. Councilman Martin.
Just two things. One, not to beat a dead horse, but I do want to thank our clerk's office, and everyone who worked, and particularly the responsiveness to the concerns that were raised. I think your response has been outstanding, and I really appreciate the attentiveness to opportunities we might have. I did have the opportunity to work, as Dennis indicated, but Councilwoman Piana also worked at polls that day, and I really appreciate her service there. And lastly, I'm going to promote, on behalf of the Ferndale Community Foundation and the Ferndale Historical Society, on December 8th, we have our Historic Holiday Home Tour. I don't know if that's going to make it or not. There are cards in the back of council. Tickets are $15. It runs from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., and this is a self-guided tour of historical homes and buildings in Ferndale, and it kicks off at the Ferndale Historical Museum, which is at 1651 Livernois. This is, I think, going to be a lot of fun and a neat event. It's the same weekend as the Ice Festival, so you can come on down to the Ice Festival and then take a tour of some of the more interesting buildings and homes that we have here in Ferndale, and there is a lot of history to these places, so I think it's going to be educational and a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilwoman and Mayor Pro Tem Piana.
I have a handful of things to talk about, but I also wanted to echo everybody's, your proactiveness in addressing some of the challenges that we faced on Election Day with the long waits. And I have to say, it was my first time being an election poll worker. I knew it was a hard job going into it, but I really felt exhausted, overwhelmed, and completely spent by the end of the day. Really because even though we had 70 volunteers, it wasn't enough to deal with all the people who were voting. And I think as we look forward to finding the opportunities, one of them is going to be finding new election poll workers. And so I really encourage all of our residents to consider helping out their community on Election Day. If your company gives you the day off, to help out with voting or go vote, ask to say, hey, I want to help work the polls. So that would really help out everybody on Election Day. So
There are applications on the table.
and there are applications on the table in the back of the room. Awesome. I also want to announce a neighborhood meeting on Thursday, November 15th, coming up from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. There is a neighborhood meeting in the Dales neighborhood. And we'll be talking with the superintendent of our schools, Gary Meyer, and our police chief, Tim Collins, to talk about some of the recent occurrences happening at Taft and the changes going on at the school. A lot of the residents are curious about the changes, and they want to ask questions and give feedback on some of the things that have happened there. And then the second part of the meeting is really about discussing how do we organize the neighborhood, and as a neighborhood group, something that the citizens or the residents of the neighborhood would be interested in pulling together. So it's kind of come meet and greet your neighbor, talk to the school district, talk to the police chief about what's going on at Taft, and really come have some cookies and coffee and meet your neighbors. So that's 6:30 to 8 o'clock. The other part, I had a very interesting event that I attended today through the Michigan Municipal League. I was invited to join 50 other people for a special invitation to talk to national leaders on placemaking. And placemaking is a current initiative that the state of Michigan is moving forward with, the governor's office, and how do we create places where people want to be and invest their time and grow your community and make your local community stronger. And I just wanted to talk about some key messages that I took away. The people who were there were from the Project for Public Spaces. Now, I love this website because they have the largest repository of images of people playing and acting in downtowns and urban environments, and so all over the world. So you can go see, and you want to see people playing in a park, working on like workout equipment, which a lot of communities have around the world. So it's a really cool place. But the key messages that I think that our city needs to focus on as we look at redoing our master plan and for next year, and I think we do this in a lot of ways, but perhaps focusing a little bit extra hard on them, is focus on play and connecting people. That was a key theme, is create places where people want to play. and how can we look at that differently going forward. Of course, I think we do this in Ferndale. Another one was focusing on enabling versus restricting. So I think that can be taken in a lot of ways. They really focused on transformative thinking and respond to health and happiness versus restrictions. And I thought that was, focus on opportunity and making things better rather than making something not happen. And then my favorite lines of the whole experience was, when you design your community around people, you get more people. When you design your community around cars, you get more cars. And I think that's what placemaking is really about. That if you are planning for people and you're creating for these anchors of exciting activity and places to play, that is where people want to be. And I think we have some of that happening in Ferndale, but let's up our game for next year when we go through our master planning process and make that happen. And then my husband says, and this is to you, Lloyd, leaf pickup is more frequent. He works from home all day, and he notices that the leaves are being picked up more, and I think you really have improved the service for residents. So, and then, happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble.
All right. I have just a few as well. Councilman Lennon actually asked me to remind folks that at Danny's Irish Pub, they're still collecting money for Hurricane Sandy, and you can go into Danny's and contribute there. We had a number of companies and businesses and organizations contribute to that effort. I believe we're going to recognize a couple of them at the next council meeting, but it just showed once again the great spirit of this community, and it's not too late if you want to go over to Danny's and contribute. I want to thank the people of the Ferndale Memorial Association. They put on a really nice Veterans Day ceremony on Sunday at 11 o'clock, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, and also a happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans who live and work in Ferndale. And finally, I would just, not to beat a dead horse, but just add about the elections. I do appreciate that the clerk's office is looking into this, into the long lines, but the main takeaway I think that residents can feel assured of this is that we ran a transparent and, most importantly, an accurate election. Once again, you did our community proud, and we'll tweak the lines, but we accommodated 64% of the voters, huge turnout, and we did it accurately, and that's the most important thing. So thanks for your efforts. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Yes, please.